Hello. This is a different video, different kind of video. It's totally trivial. As we know, when we were first introduced to the Master on Doctor Who, I believe the name of the episode was Terror of the Autons, which involved the Nestine consciousness. The Master was played by Roger Delgado, who was in fact the 13th incarnation of the Master, which means he already regenerated 12 times. He already exhausted his slotted number of regenerations, so when he tried to regenerate a 13th time, he was unable to, and almost didn't survive his final life. We all know what happened there. Peter Pratt came into play, an emaciated version. Oh well. But I want to focus on what took place prior to Delgado's incarnation. Now, I'm going to do a disclaimer. This is mere speculation on my part. This is in no way tied to anything actual Doctor Who. This is just my thoughts on possibly why we weren't introduced to the first 12 incarnations of the Master. We did get a glimpse at one. Now, I will also reference the 96 film where Eric Roberts' version of the Master, which I'm counting Anthony Ainley as the 14th incarnation. So that would make Eric Roberts the 15th incarnation, who hinted to Lee, Genghis Khan, and Lee said, "What about him?" And Master said that was him. I believe this was also actually an incarnation of the Master, not the Doctor. So, with no further ado, and you already know which one I'm going to list as one of them, is the first 12 incarnations of the Master, starting with the first. Now you saw the little boy looking into that thing, and he got the drumming in his head. Boom, 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 boom. Or boom, 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 boom. Which is basically the heartbeat of a Time Lord. So, his drumming in his head, he bore a striking resemblance to this guy. I believe the first incarnation of the Master to be Donald Trump. So, when the Master first landed on Earth, he landed, I believe, sometime 1950s. And he named himself Donald Trump. And, of course, we are seeing the disastrous results of the Master's first incarnation. Which, again, I want to remind you, pure speculation on my part. And in any sense, this is science fiction, which isn't even real. So, again, speculation. But, the Master's first incarnation will, of course, expire at some point in the future, in which he'll regenerate and then travel back in time in his second incarnation, Osama bin Laden. In the Master's the Master's first regenerative form, bin Laden, he goes to Earth, but this time in the Middle East, and eventually he gets to the point where he meets President Reagan, who gives him a job in the CIA. And eventually, the Cold War ends, but the Master is not content with what's been happening lately. And since the Master craves destruction, he decided that he would do the 9/11 thing and blow up the World Trade Center. And then, George W. Bush helped the Master escape the Middle East, where then President Obama ordered Team 6 to go in and kill the Master. Instead of killing him, they buried him, but then the Master had regenerated in that grave and went back in time again in his TARDIS as his third incarnate form, second regeneration, Christopher Columbus. The Master did a lot of damage in this regeneration. Oh, man. And all the terrible stuff he did to the indigenous peoples. Shame, shame, Master. Shame. As Christopher Columbus, the Master was truly evil. Until the time that, he met his end, at least the end of that incarnation, regenerated a third time into his fourth incarnate form, went into his TARDIS again to go through time again as Robert E. Lee. This time, he took Earth to the southern United States to live as a slave owner. And he was pretty cruel. Cruel to the slaves and very evil. Living up to his reputation as being an evil Time Lord. And of course, he fought in the Civil War and lost, fortunately. And then he regenerated a fourth time into his fifth incarnate form, Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'll continue this in the next part.